Struan Stevenson, Conservative MEP for Scotland. The European Parliament today called for environmental impact assessments to be extended to shale gas, to fracking. What's your reaction?
Well, sadly, I've been involved in this process from the very start, and it's an absolute mess. The whole report was a mess. That's why there were hundreds of amendments voted on in Strasbourg. That's why we were trying our damnedest to stop the Greens on the left, who were trying everything to make it difficult for shale gas exploitation to take place. They're totally opposed to fracking, they're totally opposed to shale gas, and sadly, by only a few votes, they have won. And now it means that we will be less competitive than countries outside the EU. It means that any type of exploration for shale gas whatsoever will be subject to a full screening, a full impact assessment, a full environmental impact assessment process, which is costly, time-consuming. It's just putting hurdles in the way of business and industry. When you consider in America that the full exploitation of shale gas has now not only cut gas prices in half and made America now competitive, it's kick-started its economy again, but it's also reduced their CO2 emissions by 450 million tonnes in the past 6 years. We are not hitting our carbon emission targets because we're building silly fans and windmills all over the place which are useless, thinking that we're going green, and now we're attacking shale gas, the one sure way of being able to stop burning coal.
I mean, many other projects, main scheme, large-scale projects have to go through this process, such as mining and building motorways and railways and so forth. Isn't it just logical that shale gas should also go through these checks to make sure that they're not going to completely destroy the environment?
But of course we agree with that. The current legislation says that any shale gas exploration that is extracting more than 500,000 cubic metres a day has to go through the full impact assessment procedure. Now, after the vote in Strasbourg, it's any shale gas fracking, any exploration at all, even under 500,000 cubic metres. So even tiny exploratory wells to see if there is shale gas will require a full economic impact assessment. This is just environmental impact assessment. It's crazy.
When you say it's crazy, what do you think the impact of this will be? Do you think that it will still be possible to explore shale? You mentioned that this could increase costs. Could it make it very difficult to look into shale gas as a practical means of energy in future in places like the UK?
I think it will slow down the whole process. I will predict now that we will start importing cheap shale gas from America, while Britain is sitting on millions of tonnes of shale gas, which would be enough to keep our business and industry going for the next 200 years, and we're not going to be able to exploit it because of ridiculous regulations voted by the European Parliament in Strasbourg.
Now, I understand that ministers will have to enter negotiations with parliamentarians on this. Is that a stage where you can still get in on this and see changes made, at least make this a more favourable regulation from your point of view?
Well, I would hope very much that countries like the United Kingdom, Romania, Poland, where they have serious shale gas reserves which they want to exploit, and they'll be very unhappy about the vote that's happened here today. I think in these so-called trilogue negotiations between the Commission, the European Council and the Parliament, I'd be very surprised if these countries don't form a bloc and insist that this whole legislative package is watered down. But the Parliament is likely to dig in its heels because the left, having scored a victory, they now smell blood, and they're going to be going for full victory on this. I see hard times ahead, I really do.